You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
That always makes me smile when I hear the doctor is in. Welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. It's so nice to have you with us. This is our fourth show for today, and this one's special because it's not an interview show. It is a presentation show. What does that mean? You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I have hand select a team of experts, people who are at the top of their field, who have all kinds of expertise and knowledge to teach us. So we have two experts with us today, and they will be presenting a 15-minute lesson. That's right. It's not an interview. It's a lesson. And we will then have some interaction with each of them to see what we've learned from their presentation. Let me bring them out. Joining us today from California, Megan Sandwick. Hello, Megan.
Hey, Dr. Jacalyn, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
And joining us from Texas, it's Mr. Hiett Ives. Hi, Hiett.
The thorn between two roses.
Well, it's nice to have the two of you here today because I know just from what I've seen before that your presentation style, it's direct, it's succinct, it's very clear, and we're going to be left being told what we were going to hear. We're going to hear it, and then you're going to tell us what we heard. So thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you being here.
Glad to be here.
Good to be here.
So I'd like to start off with each of you sharing a little bit about who you are. I'm going to spotlight you. You're not doing your presentation. You're just going to share who you are and the value you're bringing to the world and what the name of your lesson is for today. And since Megan has agreed to go first, I will spotlight her. Megan, you're on.
Hello, everybody. My name is Megan Sandwick, and I am a strategic productivity partner. So I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs to take control of your time with productivity habits. We all have 24 hours in a day. That's one commodity we can't change. There is no Botox for our day. We all have 24 hours. So my goal is to help you take control of your day so you have productivity habits that meet your expectations so you're getting everything done. And my presentation today is called Controlling Your Productivity with a Daily Process.
I love it. Thank you. I have to laugh. That's the second reference to Botox that I've heard today on my shows. And it's like, does everyone know I had Botox? Is that what? Listen, I highly recommend it. So that's anyone who doesn't want anything to move anymore. Look, there's no moving. Okay. Hi, and I'm going to spotlight you. Why don't you share a little bit about who you are, the value you bring to this wonderful world, and the title of your lesson?
Hiett Ives. I am a business marketing communications specialist, and I help people put their message to the world in second person, present tense, with a call to action. I love doing this. I've been doing this for many, many years. Have fun doing it. It's the please don't throw me in the briar patch element of what I do. I love to help people communicate most effectively with their audience and their prospects.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Hiett.
Sure.
We are going to take a quick break, and then Megan is going to be up first with her lesson. Our sponsor is Our Choice Fashion, all about a sustainable model of sneaker that is actually available. They're also looking for investors. So take a look, and then we'll return right after this for Megan's lesson.
When all my broken sneakers started to pile up in the wardrobe, I realized that we have a problem. Sneakers are made from plastics, and plastic is not mendable. My name is Philip, and I'm one of the founders of Our Choice Fashion. How many times did this happen to you? How can eco sneakers save the world when they break after only a few months and we have to buy pair after pair that breaks? We are here to give you the solution, a choice for truly sustainable fashion in the world's first circular sneakers. On average, we all buy 3 pairs of sneakers each and every year. This adds up to 25 billion sneakers per year, of which most end up in landfills. This adds up to 350 million tons of CO2 emissions, the same amount as for the country of Italy or the state of California. So we started to develop a product that would have all the old-fashioned qualities. It is mendable, it has a classic design, and it has a natural comfort. Because we chose the best designer there is, Mother Nature. The sneakers get more and more comfortable the more you wear them. Made from vegetable tan leather and natural latex from the rubber tree, the sneakers are both sustainable and comfortable. These sneakers are made from pure raw materials that are both fully biodegradable and fully recyclable. The best thing here really is that when your sneakers need an upgrade, you just send them right back to us using the same bag that you got them delivered in. We then resole your sneakers, put on a fresh pair of laces, and give them a nice new polish. This means that you can wear your sneakers for many years to come. Our sneakers are more than sneakers. They are a circular function, and we developed a smart pull for you to step into your sneakers without stepping down the heel. This means that you get a truly sustainable grip. We've got a fully circular business model, and that's why we'll only produce sneakers on your demand. Book your product now and get that sustainable grip at a discount. We've been on this amazing journey for 2 years, and now we're inviting you to also make a choice for truly sustainable fashion. Try the world's first circular sneakers, 100% plastic free, and I can promise you that our choice will be your companion for many years to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. My expert presenters today are Megan Sandwick and Hiett Ives. And Megan has agreed to go first, so I am going to put Hiett and I backstage, and I will spotlight you. And do you have a presentation?
I do. Let me bring it up right now.
All right, lovely. By the way, that the sponsorship we were just listening to, Our Choice Fashion, is Philip Westerlund. If you're interested, you can connect with him on LinkedIn, and I'm sure he'll be very happy to hear from you. And it's Philip with an F. Okay, here we go. Hi, we're going backstage.
Okay, so today, got my timer started. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about something that's important to all of us, and it's a daily process. So we want to talk a little bit today about controlling your productivity with a daily process. What do I mean by that? When you think about it, there are tasks that you have to do every day that you work. Pretty much every day, let's be honest. As business professionals, there are certain things that we need to check every day. So for example, we have voicemail, we have how many voicemails, we have text messages, we could have chats, could be Telegram, could be Slack, could be Hangouts, we have email, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn. When you think about it, on any given day, there are so many places and so many things that you can be doing and that can be taking your time. What my goal is to say, all right, we know that there's all of that needs to get done on a daily basis. But do you know the most stunning part? all of that, the messages, the chats, those daily things, that's just a very small part of your job when you think about it, because you still have the rest of your life to live. And so what I want to talk about today is controlling your productivity with the daily process. So a daily process in controlling your productivity, what we want to do is we want to take control of your productivity. We want to take control of your productivity habits, let's be more specific, with intentional processes that are not time dependent, but allow for the flexible needs of your schedule. So as you know, I'm always going to talk to you all about productivity because that's my thing. I am a productivity partner, strategic productivity partner. And what I really like to work with my clients and with everybody on is what are our productivity habits? When you think about it, there's the tools we use, and then there's how we use them and the habits that we have. So today we want to talk about the daily process that we use. And we want to make sure that the productivity habits we use, that they're intentional to meet our needs. We don't want to build habits that are at every morning at 8 o'clock, I'm going to check this email and I'm going to do this. Now, there are people and there are times that works where we can set a habit and a process up that is very strict on the time. But I would say I am going to caution you away from that. What I'm going to say is let's start working on a daily process and productivity habits that are not dependent on time, but are flexible to meet the needs of your schedule. When you think about it, over the last 2 years, 18 months, as a world, when we were in pre-COVID times, then we were in COVID times, and now we're coming out of COVID times, when we think about it, one of the things that has changed the most is how we look at our schedule and time, because our schedules changed last year because we had parents all of a sudden were principals and we had to stay at home and we moved our work. And so all of that changed how we look at our time and a lot of our productivity habits. The most important place to make sure that we're grounded is to make sure we have a daily process that's covering, making sure that all of those boxes and things that need to be checked are checked. You might be asking, why do you need a daily process? So why you need a process, and we're actually going to start at the bottom one for here. And so I don't know how many of you remember, and I just was reminded of this recently. Do you remember in 2009 in Stockholm at the Odenplan metro station, there was a Volkswagen commercial where they took the stairway and they made it into a piano. And so there was a stairway and an elevator next to each other, and people in the metro station everyone would go up the elevator. And so one night, Volkswagen wanted to make a change and they wanted people to actually be a little bit more physical. So what they did is there was an ad where they painted piano steps on the stairs, and it changed the way that people went up the stairs. Why am I bringing that up when it comes to a daily process? When you think about it, we can get through our day. We can start as professionals to go through our day. It's almost like we're on a train and we just start going through the flow and we just start moving and we can just start doing what comes next. What I'm saying is we need to look at that we're doing and we need to change it. We need to say, okay, we know we have a daily process. We know there are things that need to be checked every day. So what we need to do is take control of that daily process, and we need to make sure that it's something that's engaging, something that we want to do, something that's a little bit different, kind of like, do you always take the escalator, or do you take the stairs, or do you take an elevator? You know, it's a way to add spice and change the way we do things. So that's one reason we need a daily process. Another reason that we need a daily process is because we want to make it more fun and engaging. When you think about it, there's a lot of things that we're doing in a day. And each day, as we've learned, can begin to grow into one another. And so a daily process allows us to take control and say, this is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to handle right now. It's important to build daily processes and think about, when we're talking about productivity, we're talking about the long game here. We're not always talking about instant gratification. So when we're talking about something like saying, okay, I'm going to create a daily process for my productivity, the things that I need to do, I'm going to do it every day. What it's doing is it's saying that I know that this is going to become second nature for me. This is going to become something that's a habit that I begin to just do. So it's something that becomes natural. And so that all of those things that I know that I need to check, I know I'm checking. Another reason is we need to take control of our daily repeating tasks. 2006, Duke University did a study, and they found that in a given day, we spend about 45% of our time on repeating tasks. equates to about 10 or 11 hours. So every day we spend 10 or 11 hours doing the same thing that we did yesterday and the day before and the day before. So my question is, let's take control of our time. We know we're going to need to do the same things on a daily basis. So let's come up with the process. Let's make it fun and engaging. And so it's something we want to do, and we'll increase our productivity. We'll increase our output, taking control of our productivity. So that's why we need a daily process. So you might be wondering, how do we create a daily process? So there are 4 steps to a daily check-in. So what we're going to do with the daily process is we're going to start our day and we're going to end our day with intentional steps that we take. So I know every day when I log in, these are the things that I'm going to do. And then I know at the end of the day, okay, I'm closing out the day. Again, what that's going to do is that's going to give us peace of mind that we are taking care of everything that we need to take care of. 4 steps for a daily check-in process. The first, create a checklist of actions you take daily. So that's what I've been talking about. We know there's email addresses we check daily. There's messages. There's, for people who do voicemail, there's voicemail. All of those things. We want to make a list. What are those things you have to check on a daily basis? Social media scheduling. So we want to create that list, and then we want to approximate a time for all of those tasks and meetings. We want to say, how long do we think it's going to take to do that? Because is going through your email going to take 10 minutes, or is it going to take 30 minutes? Get an idea and a ballpark. Going through your project management tool, is it going to take 5 minutes? Is it going to take 15 minutes? Because what you're doing is you're beginning to see how much time you need to complete your daily process. Step number 3, you want to schedule repeating daily appointment. The magic in this is not just in making sure it happens, but it's the execution and the adjustment. So we need to schedule appointments daily, and then we need to look at the 4th step is execution and adjustment. So how are we executing and how are we adjusting? We know that life is changing. We know that projects that we're working on might be changing. So the magic in all of this is in the execution and the adjustment. So those are the 4 daily steps. How do we do it? So let's start with the first one. Let's start with we want to create a daily checklist. So this is something that I always walk through with my clients when we very first start working together. I have a spreadsheet as well that we walk through this process with. But one of the other things that I do is I ask my clients to list, what are all of your current projects? What are all the email addresses you check? What are the chats and messages? As I've mentioned, voicemail. Then also go through and identify what are all of the project management CRM tools that you use. For example, I'm working on 3 projects that have CRM tools right now. So I have a couple of different ones that I need to check. So it's important. So I will tell you, there was one of those systems, I'm not going to say which project, but I didn't update my process here, and I had a new project management system come in, and I wasn't checking it because it wasn't on my list. So it's one of those things where, again, we want to track down what are the project management CRM tools you're using, social media, scheduling, calendaring tools. So what you want to do in this step is this is that first step where I said you want to document all of the tools and resources and places you need to check. Identify how long it's going to take for each, because by the end of this, you'll have an idea. Okay, I need to set aside an hour. I need to set aside 30 minutes. You'll set a realistic expectation to be able to take control of your productivity. So we know we talked about identifying the first 2 steps. Step number 3 and step number 4 are how do we execute and then how do we adjust and move forward. So it's super important that we set realistic expectations for completing your daily process. And I've had clients say, that sounds great, Megan, I like the idea, but how do I do it? So couple notes, your daily process cannot be time dependent. It is about building habits. I said this at the beginning, but let me remind you again. Your daily process cannot be time dependent. It is about building habits, because every day that we work is different. When you think about it, there are days that are different. And so we don't want to set a one size fits all approach for our daily process. What we want to do is look at the calendar and say, tomorrow I know this is my schedule. I'm going to do my daily process at 9 o'clock, whatever it is, but we want to set a realistic expectations. We want to connect our daily process to the start of our workday or when you're logging in. So as we know, and as we've learned over the past year, our work days might be at different times, and that's okay. That's why we're building flexibility into this to say, all right, when I sit down to get started, I know I'm going to check my emails, my messages. What you're doing by building this habit is I'm not sure if this ever happened to you, but sometimes I'll be going through the day and then there's that, oh, did I respond to that email? Did I get that email? Did I look for this? What a daily process does is it avoids that, because it's telling you know in your heart of hearts that when I sit down today, I'm going to go through my email and I'm going to see it. And so it gives your mind that set of ease. So that's why you want to connect it to the start of your workday or to when you're logging in. Continuous improvement and adjustment is key. If you don't like how the process feels, then change it. This is your process. As I said, when I work with my productivity clients, we get started with the daily process and then we make adjustments. Maybe there's a new project that they're working on. Maybe there's a schedule change. We need to adjust it. Maybe there's a new tool that we're working on. That's where one of the thing I have to do is every time I have a new tool, need to make sure that I add it. So it's continuously improve and adjust to make sure we're meeting our needs. Then remember, this is your time to plan your day. And remember, this is the life that you have worked to create. So have fun. When you think about a daily process, you should be excited. This is when we get to sit down and work on our business and work on what you're doing. So have fun. If you're not having fun, we need to talk about that, because that's something you need to work on. A daily process is so important because, again, it sets the tone, as we've just talked about, letting you know what are the steps you want to take, what are the things that you want to do, it's setting your day up for success. You know what's coming in, you know all of the people that have messaged you, you have a clear picture. So we want to start the day with the daily process. We also want to have within our daily process a closing time checklist where we don't just start the day strong, but we also close it out strong. And this is something that I've found that's more and more important as I've been going through this past year. So what I recommend is a closing time 5. At the end of your day when you're getting ready to log off. And I will be honest with you, I do this for me at like between 7 and 8 at night. That's kind of when I'm logging it. It's when I'm, winding down and making sure my closing time 5 is generally between 7 and 8 p.m. 5 things that you do. Check your messages for all your messages. Are there any that are going to need to be actioned? Are there any that are going to need to be responded to? Make sure if you're checking your message and saying, I'm not going to respond to it today, leave it unread so that tomorrow when you've got your process, you'll be able to go back and read it. Review today's actions. Was there anything that you didn't get done that you need to move forward? Reschedule anything that's not completed. This is a good time to set tomorrow's schedule, including meetings and project time. Look and see. So for example, I already know tomorrow on a Thursday, I don't have as many meetings. I have more project time. So it gives me a chance to know what I'm going to be doing and get my mind into it. So the closing time 5, the 4th step is set tomorrow's schedule. The 5th step is almost the most important. Visualize your day making it happen. Visualize your day and making it happen. If you see it, you'll achieve it. But if you don't see your day happening, you won't achieve it. This visualization step has become more important for me recently because as I look at my day, and if there are things that I picture, I'll be like, I can see all these things happening. Oh, I can't see myself doing that. Then I go back and I adjust so that I'm setting realistic expectations. So it's important with the daily process to have the start and then a closing time 5. Productivity tip. Instead of changing us to fit our productivity systems, we need to change our productivity systems to meet us and to fit us. Instead of changing us to fit our productivity systems, we need to change our productivity systems to fit us. A daily process and being intentional to plan and take control of those productivity habits is going to help you be more productive, more successful. So what are the next steps for you? As you know, I'm always going to have a challenge for you. And here's my challenge today. Create your own daily process and then commit to 30 days with the daily process. I promise you, do this 30 times and connect with an accountability partner. Because if you do this 30 times and you connect with accountability partner, you are for sure going to take control of your productivity and you will get so much more done on any given day. So I highly recommend this. One of the things that I always like to remind people in creating a daily process is like creating a habit, and it's creating a system. You get what you expect when creating a system. If you put a half-ass effort into it, you're going to get a half-ass result. So that's why I challenge you, be intentional to take time to set up a daily process and then challenge yourself. commit to doing it for 30 days with an accountability partner and look at how you're able to take control of your time. I'm Megan Sandwick. I'm a strategic productivity partner. If you have any questions about any of these topics or anything with the daily process, feel free to email me. You can email me at megan@downwithspp.com. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn.
Well done, Megan. Very well done. We're going to have a couple minutes of discussion about your presentation, and then we'll take a break and Hiett will present. Okay? So a couple of things. I love the fact that you used that Volkswagen analogy from 2009. I'm not familiar with that, but it resonated for me just thinking about that escalator versus painting the staircase. So I think that was a great visual. Also, you mentioned, I think, a study from Duke University. So yes. I love, go ahead.
Yeah, they found in 2006 that we spend 40 to 45% of our time doing the repetitive tasks every day. Isn't that mind-blowing? Or 45%, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I like that use of credibility by having that reference. And then for those who don't know, Megan is my productivity coach, and we've been working together since, I don't even know, but do you know? I don't know.
I think like since January or last year. No, since last year.
Yeah, since last year. And so she's helped me really get myself much more streamlined. I still have more work to do. But a question I have for you, because when you think about setting your calendar and then visualizing success, these are things that I do. And then I also, after working with you, certain days I do certain things. And I don't let anything interfere with those. But here's my question. Where does the people component come in? So in other words, if you are in I don't care what kind of career, job, work, you have your processes, but then there's always the disruption. Then there's always the phone. Hey, I just have a quick question, or the email. Urgent, I need your. What do you do in those cases to keep you on point when you have those distractions?
That's a really good question. And actually, you know, what's interesting is, so with one of my clients that I work with, we do his daily process together every day because he's found that he can't do it on his own. And so we actually do it, we screen share and he walks through this daily process and he does it. And so he is in an office, and there have been times when people would come in and want to talk to him. And we've kind of, we've worked together to identify sometimes, sure, he does get interrupted. But the other thing that now he's done is he tells everyone, look, from this time to this time, I'm meeting with Megan and this is what we're doing. If you want any emails responded to, you will leave me alone unless it's an emergency. And that has worked in that situation. So I think it's a situation by situation choice, but I think there are times when we have to say, you know what, I need protected time. I need protected time so that I can get this done. Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think, and this is no surprise to you, but I have a hard time saying no to people. So when someone says they need something, it's like, okay, I'll try to make it happen. In the meantime, I'm like, what am I going to do? But it all gets, it all works out. So thank you for your presentation. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of good information, and I like the flow of the deck as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
For people who are listening on the radio, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
So my website is downwithspp.com, and you can always email me at megan@downwithspp.com. And one thing I would say is I launched a newsletter. It's called Strategic Productivity Ponderings. I love that word, ponderings. If you are interested and would like to sign up for the newsletter, please go to downwithspp.com/newsletter.
Fantastic. Thank you. I have just a comment I want to throw in about newsletters. So I've been sending out the newsletters at various times, and I've been my newsletter, and I've been watching the open rate, and then of course any unsubscribe rate. And anytime, by the way, if you're out there and you unsubscribe, I'm so sad, but I know from my coach that you can't take it personally if someone unsubscribes. But I've been trying to send my newsletter at different times, and what I think is so interesting is that the time that I've researched that the best time to send it out anywhere you are in the world is 11 a.m. So I sent it out the night before just to check, because I have people from different time zones. So I sent it out, I think at 10:30 the night before. And I got 36 people who opened it. And so then I resent it the next day at 11 o'clock. And it was funny, I got 2 newsletters that were sent to me at exactly 11 o'clock. And mine went out at 11:02. And I think I had close to 200 people who opened it, which is still not great. So I think in terms of, there has to be some process for newsletters, to make it more effective. And I don't know what that is. That'll be another lesson.
Right. when that person does a presentation, I need to tune in.
Yes, they will be in demand. Hiett, do you have any feedback or comments for Megan and her presentation?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I took some notes, and the process is the key. Make it a process, do it regularly, and it becomes a habit.
Excellent. We are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will have Hiett doing his presentation, the Questioning 5. So we'll be right back. Stay with us. And Megan, by the way, we'd love to have you stay. If you have to go, we totally understand that too. So
I'm going to stay. Thank you.
All right, good. Yay. All right, we'll be right back.
Have you just lost your job or have been laid off and you are looking to transition to a new job or career? Maybe you have even tried submitting tons of applications and yet you keep getting turned down for jobs you qualify for. Don't wait until you become overwhelmed with rejections when you can easily transition or get your dream job. Let MJW Careers guide you to the right career path and a better, brighter future. At MJW Careers, we know what hiring managers are looking for, and our goal is to land you the job you deserve. What makes MJW Careers a wonderful provider over other services is our pragmatic and scientific approach to resume writing. There are rules, there are visual cues, there are content best practices. We understand those and work within the boundaries to ensure our clients' messaging appeals to the decision makers. Our career consultants will help you transition into new roles quickly and effectively. With our experience in virtually every industry, we will provide direction in the frustrating job market by helping you write a customized, professional resume and prepare you for your interview as well. Join the great number of people we have helped scale up to greater things in their careers. Let us help you on your career journey. Come visit us, www.jobstickers.com, to learn more and grab a free resume review or ebook.
It's what we do together that counts. The Big Alliance story. A true story about faith over adversity, perseverance, and entrepreneurship. Read Earl's story and how he became an entrepreneur. Available on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible.com. For more information, contact Earl Hurd at earlhurd@bicalliance.com or call 1-800-460-4242.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. Megan Sandwick just did her presentation, and now Hiett Ives is ready to do his. Come discover the 5 words to use that will virtually guarantee your addressee is going to either qualify or disqualify themselves immediately. Hiett Ives presents the Questioning 5. Hiett, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to remove myself and put your deck up.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jacalyn. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to look at the Questioning 5. These questions get you the correct answers. And we are going to start with a couple of questions of you, the audience. How long does it take you to qualify a prospect? In a sales presentation or an interview situation, in a casual conversation, how long does it take you to qualify a prospect? Question number 2, what is your most effective tool to do this? What tool are you using to effectively qualify people? Well, today we're going to look at those opportunities. We're going to look at what words to use to qualify people. We're going to look at when and how to use those words. We'll follow that with what to do when those words that you're using fail to get the answer that you want. And finally, we're going to look at specific questions that you might ask in specific situations. And to tie all of that together, as if that weren't enough, this is going to be an audience participation event. You all can put the answers to these questions in the chat. And we're going to start here we're going to begin right now. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, what is the best type of question? What is the best type of question? And those of you listening on the radio, this is a 2-word answer. A blank, blank question. A blank, blank question. If you answered open-ended, you are absolutely correct. The best type of question to ask in any situation is an open-ended question. Question number 2, what is the advantage of using this type of question? What is the key thing about an open-ended question that makes it the most desirable type question to ask? And the answer is the addressee is unable to answer it with a blank or blank. The addressee is unable to answer your open-ended question with a blank or blank. If you chose yes or no, that is correct. You cannot answer an open-ended question with a yes or no. They actually have to give you an answer. And finally, what happens when you use this type of question? When you ask the right open-ended question of the right person, what happens? It requires the addressee to either blank or blank themselves. When you ask the right person the right open-ended question, it requires that person to either blank or blank themselves. If you answered qualify or disqualify themselves, that is absolutely correct. That is the key advantage of using an open-ended question. So how valuable is this to you? Well, it allows you to quickly separate the wheat from the chaff. It allows you to quickly identify the qualified from the unqualified. So let's move from this concept to some specific examples. You're going to ask only open-ended questions. And trust me, this is a process. It took me almost a year and a half, because let's face it, folks, we are a yes-no society. We look for yes-no answers, quick, to the point, yes, no. And you have to formulate your question differently to get it to be an open-ended question. I've had situations where people said, oh, yeah, an open-ended question, and then they give me what they think the open-ended question is. And literally in 70%, maybe even 80% of those, I can answer their question with a yes, no. There's an art form in asking yes, no questions. And then the right open-ended question. You have to ask the right question to the right person. You have to have a specifically addressed question to the specifically addressed person. And let me back up here, and here's sort of an example. I took British Airways to a business conference in Houston, and our goal was to identify international flyers. Now, I could have asked, do you fly internationally? Do you fly internationally? And some people that might fly internationally but don't want to talk to me would lie to me and could say no, and they've disqualified themselves. However, if you ask that same person, what was the last flight? What was your last international flight? Where did you go on your last international flight? What was your last international destination? Now, if they say, I don't fly internationally, fine. You don't want to talk to them. But if they did fly someplace, then they identify themselves. So The questioning five. What are the questioning five? Well, these are questions that begin with the word who, what, when, where, and how. Now you're going to say, but Hiett, the five used to be who, what, when, where, and why. Well, what about why? We're going to eliminate why. Why are we going to eliminate why? Because let's face it, why is accusatorial. When somebody asks you, why did you do that? They've normally got their hands crossed in front of themselves, or they're pointing to you. Why did you do that? So while it is an open-ended question, it is of an accusatorial nature, and that's not what we want. Also, why has acquired some secondary diverse definitions. You talk about somebody's why, and we, rather than get hung up with that, we're simply going to eliminate why and have who, what, when, where, and how. So this is why is being excluded. Now, using these five allows you to effectively qualify anyone. What you want to find out, what you want to determine yourself is, what do you need to know? Relative to British Airways, we needed to know who the international flyers were. So, what was your last international flight? In the case of a Mexican boot manufacturer who had a very comfortable work boot, sort of an oxymoron, a comfortable work boot. And trust me, I've worn them and they are very comfortable. Our primary market, or his primary market, was the oil patch. So the oil industry trade shows that I took him to, we asked the question, how comfortable are your work boots? How comfortable are your work boots? Now, and with that, we got, they're very comfortable or they're uncomfortable, and the people easily qualified or disqualified themselves. I then took him to the International Apparel Show in Las Vegas. It's called the Magic Show, and Magic is an acronym, but I'm not remembering what it is. That show is so huge that one whole hall of one of the major hotels was the shoe hall. And this is from baby shoes to dress shoes, to work shoes, to everything. So I started by asking the same question, how comfortable are your work boots? And I was getting really weird looks. What are you talking about? I was too far down the funnel. I had to back out and say, who's your boot manufacturer? Who's your boot manufacturer? And then if they did manufacture boots, it was what percent of his boots are work boots? What percent of his output is work boots? Now, once those were identified, we quickly were able to get down to nuts and bolts, but we had to do a little more qualifying. So you have to ask the appropriate question to the appropriate person in the appropriate atmosphere. The oil industry trade show is different than the magic show. So here's a brief illustrative exercise. Get my tongue untangled here. You need to identify the people you are addressing. You need to identify their specific function, formulate your question appropriately, and then get them doing the talking. Now, picture yourself as a salesperson making a presentation to a corporate leadership group. You're at the corporate roundtable, conference table. You've got the president, you've got the vice president of finance, you've got the vice president of operations, you've got the vice president of sales, you've got the vice president of R&D, and you're trying to determine, how you're going to get your product or service sold to them or get them to buy into purchasing it. So the first question might be addressed to the president. And to him, the question might well be, Mr. President, given the specifications of this project, who in this room are you going to lean most heavily on relative to your decision? And if he says the VP of Finance, Well, you then turn to the VP of Finance and say, what elements of the financing of this project are most important to you? And he said, well, I'm going to have to know what the salespeople need. You then turn to the Vice President of Sales and say, when do you feel you can get your sales force up to speed to do this? So you're asking when, where, how, what, where questions of each one, and you're asking a specific question to their specific function, all geared to your final goal of interacting with them with your product or service. Another another question here, if you want to put it in the chat, what do you do when your question fails to work? What do you do with the question? Well, you change the question. And I gave you the example of the Mexican boot manufacturer at an oil industry show asking how comfortable are your work boots, and then at the Magic show asking who's your boot manufacturer. I had a client that I took to a show. We had an open-ended question. They looked comfortable with it. I left, came back an hour later, and they said, Hiett, I hate to tell you, but we changed your open-ended question. Well, no, it's your open-ended question, and if it works better than the one we started with, go ahead and use it. So finally, if you have multiple products or services, have blank questions for each product or service. Well, you have a different question for different products and services. And why is this not going down? There we go, separate. So let us review. What type of questions do you use? Repeat after me, open-ended questions. What's the advantage of using these? They cannot be answered with a yes or no. What are the questioning five? Who, what, when, where, and how? And finally, when you fail, when your question fails to work, what do? You ask a different question. Going forward from here, there's so much more in specific categories and examples and specific industry applications. We can do that for you and your company, your operation, and are happy to do that. In addition, you can have your very own copy of my book, That Ain't Not Right, The Use and Abuse of the English Language. You can simply go to my website, go to Amazon, and either under Hiett Ives or That Ain't Not Right, Use and Abuse of the English Language, it'll both come up. And finally, you can join the That Ain't Not Right, Use and Abuse of the English Language opt-in weekly email team. Just go to hiettives.com to receive your copy. And with that, and 30 seconds left on the clock, Jacalyn, I return control of the meeting to you.
Megan and I were answering the questions, by the way. We were backstage. We were both mouthing out the answers. Megan, you're on mute. So yes, I think it was, I think it was a great presentation, and it kind of reminded me of training that I had in my corporate role. It also reminded me of when I was going through my coaching certification, and it also reminded me of interview skills that you need to have when you're interviewing people. So I think it was very worthwhile, and obviously there's no limit to how many people can actually benefit from what you just shared.
Absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to mention was the why. They teach us that in coaching, that you never use the why, because you put the person on the defensive, and you're not going to get them to open up and share.
Thank you. I like that perspective. I will add that to them, because I hadn't looked at it from the recipient's point of view. But yes, you're right. It puts them on the defensive, whereas the others do not. Thank you.
Sure. And I was imagining myself, I think it was in Vegas, when you said that whole part of the hotel was taken up with shoes. I was like, shoes, because I love shoes. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a field day there.
Absolutely. Unbelievable.
So, and also I love your slides. I love the coloring, the white and the red. And I like how you get the audience participation. So for those of you watching, the lesson will be part of Hiett's playlist, and you'll be able to take a quiz at the end. And so I think in terms of to the learner, it's a very engaging presentation, and I think that's what it takes to learn something, to actually not just read it, but to take it in and then be able to apply it. So good job.
Thank you.
Megan, anything you'd like to add?
I really liked the information that you shared and thinking about questions and how you ask them. And I also like the attention on changing the question and the importance, because there are a lot of times that we don't get, it doesn't open. And so I think you're right to continue to say, okay, so what do we do? And to be sure to focus on open-ended and not just, so I appreciated that. It was very useful. And I was definitely taking notes. And I Dr. Jacalyn and I we were saying the answers as you were going.
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
And something else I want to share, and I think this is important whether you're in sales or if you're a coach, you're an interviewer, is that be engaged with the other person and have your questions in the format that Hiett mentioned, but be listening to what the other person's saying, because you might be so anxious to get I have this question, I have to ask the question, and you're missing the whole flow of the conversation that might take you down a different direction, and then you just remember to follow the same format that Hiett described.
Well, that's the advantage of an open-ended question. They have to engage, they have to go into detail. And that's when you use the old, you got two of these and one of these, and use them in that order. When you've asked the question, stop talking and listen.
I think it's fair to say that listening is definitely a skill, and some people feel uncomfortable in the silence. And that silence is where the insights are taking place, where the real growth happens, where you can really build a relationship with someone.
Well, and both of you know the deal. When you make a presentation and stop talking, the first person that talks next loses.
Yes.
And I have been in situations where I made a presentation where I knew I was not on strong ground. I was talking to a vice president and her assistant, and I stopped talking. And we had been sitting there for at least a minute. The VP knew the rules. The assistant didn't. The assistant talked first, and I knew I had won. And she knew she had lost. The VP was about to go apoplectic on her.
I want to share something else about silence, and I might have shared this with you, Megan. I was doing a pitch for a major corporation. We were coming back with the solution, the recommendations, and the whole boardroom table was filled with people. And there were a number of people who were millennials, and they actually were the decision maker. One of them was a decision maker and had the ability to say yes. So I stood up to review, and they were all on their devices. And I just stood there and I said nothing. And I would say 30 seconds might have gone by, and all of a sudden the one guy looks and he said, "What's going on?" And I said, "I don't have your full attention. So until I do, I'm not going to present." And I think they were speechless, but they didn't touch their devices again. And so that was awkward standing there. That's my point. It was very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But I think we didn't get the deal, sadly.
But you got their attention.
Yes, I got their attention. Mm-hmm. Well, this has been phenomenal. The two of you are terrific. Are you planning on doing your presentations together? No, Hiett, you're actually back on Friday with Mike.
Yeah, I am going to go to another language. What I did the French language, the influence of the French language in English, and on Friday will be the Spanish language.
Oh, wonderful.
Some facts and figures about the Spanish language influence on English that, quite frankly, I was unaware of before I did my research. And I will share all of that, plus a number of words in a number of categories, everything from food and drink to hospitality to the states' names and cities' names. So you will get a lesson in where certain names came from and what they mean.
That's very exciting. Thank you. And I really appreciate the fact that you both show up very well prepared. Of course, that's why you're on my team of experts, and you do it really well. So you make me proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacalyn.
Well, it was lovely having you here. I will close out the show and look forward to seeing you, Hiett, on Friday. And Megan, I'll see you definitely Tuesday, but for a meeting.
Absolutely. All righty.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness, I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and I think that's part of the reason why I love this show so much. I love the interviews, obviously, but I always want to be learning something new. And if you feel the same way, please tune into our shows. We have 4 A Better You programs each week. I'm thinking of adding a 5th. I don't know when, but I'm thinking of it. So the shows are Wednesdays at 4 o'clock Eastern time, which is 9 p.m. British Summer Time. They are Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 7 p.m. British Summer Time. And they are 5:30 on Thursdays Eastern Time, which is 10:30 British Summer Time. And then finally Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 3:30 British Summer Time. So thank you again for being here. Just a couple of announcements. Yay, my book is finally being released. I have been working with Red O'Loughlin. He is my book coach, and Hiett actually is my editor. And so the book, I'm going to show the cover. It's called Behind the Green Screen, How to Succeed in the Live Broadcasting Business. This is my first book, and this is a story that is actually how and why I left the corporate world. My last paycheck was March the 6th of 2020, and I started this business. We started with Zoom in August, and we were only on the radio. So Business Talk Radio would meet us on Zoom. They had broadcast engineer, and then he would just take the program and then broadcast it over Business Talk Radio. From there, we moved on to StreamYard. I hired a producer, and he was taking us out over Facebook and also YouTube. I learned to do what he did, and so I said, thank you, did a great job. I'm going to do it myself. And then I also learned to do what Chris was doing, and frankly, he didn't have the time to work with all the shows that we have. So fast forward now, we have 17 shows a week. We have 10 co-hosts, and we have one person who's behind the scenes, and that would be oh, that's me. Yes, that's right. That's me. So as we branch out, I'm going to be working with some interns, because even though it looks like you just put on a dress and change the earrings and everything flows, there's so many things that take place behind the scenes, and it's been an incredible learning process. So I typically am working with between 5 and 7 different coaches, whether it's on the newsletter, whether it's on my website, whether it's on content development, taking us out over other platforms, working with other partners. It's very exciting. So it's all about learning. So my book will be launching on Sunday for pre-sale, and it tells you everything you need to know to do the broadcast, a live broadcast yourself. This is not a podcast. What is the difference? The difference is we are live right now. If this green screen falls down, you're going to see it. Okay. If I start sweating, you're going to see it. There's no like cut, action, take. No, it's live. After we stream live, then it becomes a podcast, and it's on 5 other platforms. So it's a lot of fun, and I encourage you to be our guest. All you have to do is go to drjacalyn.com, book your session. In reference to the book, it's a how-to with personal stories involved. Some of my very personal stories of things that happened to me in the corporate world, and hopefully you'll find it engaging, and there's a lesson in each chapter. So look for that on Sunday, pre-selling, and then it'll be available for shipment June 17th in honor of my mother, Joyce Kerbeck. It's her birthday, so that's how we'll be celebrating. Thank you again for being here. My last announcement is about the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. For those of you who don't know, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 1991. I have this chair in front of me because a lot of times I'm presenting or I'm speaking and I'm in a lot of pain. And it's an incurable chronic disease. I've been raising money for them since 2018. And I don't do it for myself. I do it for all the people who are in my support group who are suffering, young people, older people. It's totally really disrupting their lives, and it's painful, it's embarrassing. So if you would support me and go to my Facebook page, Jacalyn Kerbeck, and you'll see, it might be buried down there because there's a lot of material, but it's called Take Steps Walk, and the money goes directly to the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, and it's in support of my team, Dr. J's Colitis Crew. And anything that you can donate, seriously, I don't care if it's $1, $5. I always remember everybody who supports me. I'd really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So thank you again for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you at 5:30 Eastern Time, which is in half an hour, In the Name of Love with Kimmy Seltzer. And our guest is Donna Barnes. We'll see you soon. Thank you.